All right, so we're back with episode 2 of the Diaries. Now, the first episode that I dropped, I think it was like 4 or 5 days ago. I actually filmed that episode like 2 or 3 weeks ago when I was still in Cape Town. So there's been a few weeks since I last filmed that video. So I have quite a few updates. Basically, what happened was I was living in Cape Town for like 12 months. I filmed the video and then just life happened. So I had to leave Cape Town. I've left there for good now. I went back to the UK for a week, watched one of my best friends get married, which was super cool. And then I've moved to Marbella in Spain, and this is where I will be in over the next 2 to 3 months, which is cool. I'm excited for it, and then I will be posting these videos weekly. That is the goal moving forward. So last time I filmed the video, we obviously launched the initial coaching program. Did like over 20K in the first launch. It was okay, wasn't that great, wasn't really bad, and we had lots of lessons for it. So what I've been working on over the last few weeks is basically relaunching. So we had like a beta test group of people go through the program, and we've obviously had those people go through the program, and we basically made refinements to the program to improve it. But obviously I'm working on like the marketing and the relaunching of it. So the goal with this is basically to see which model or which sales process is going to be most effective. And that's what I like about actually owning my own coaching business versus having an agency where I work with different coaching businesses, where I get full control over like all of the marketing and all of the split tests, and there's a lot more flexibility there. So the goal with this next launch, where we're going to get another basically beta 2, group 2 of people go through it, is we're going to launch it twice, and we're going to test which process works the best. So way number 1 is going to be launching basically a paid workshop. So not a free webinar, but an actual paid 90-minute workshop where we teach on a particular topic. And then at the end, we give them the opportunity to basically upgrade to the group coaching program. And it's not at the end of the workshop, we're going to do like a big pitch or anything like that. It's just the workshop will finish, that will be it. And then we'll have like an email sales sequence that goes out to everyone who purchased the workshop. The workshop's going to be between $37 to $47. And then we have that sales sequence that upsells them onto the group coaching program. So that's like model number 1. Model number 2 is going to be what we did last time, where it's basically a free webinar, where it's a free webinar, free live event. We're going to teach for 90 minutes, and then we're going to pitch them on the coaching program at the end. Very simple. I'm sure if you're watching this video, you're very familiar with that type of model, because I'm just trying to work out in my head, when we go to scale this with paid ads, which we will, I'm trying to figure out just from a numbers point of view what's going to be most profitable. So we can run the workshop, and then I can look at the conversion numbers from the workshop and see what that percentage is, and then we'll do the free webinar again, look at that and see what the percentage of conversion is there. And then just with my knowledge on CPA with ads, on how many, like what price we can get people to buy a workshop at versus like leads for a webinar, I could just do basically crunch the numbers and make a decision on which should be the most profitable way in which to do it. So that's like the main test in which we're doing with this basically relaunch. I want to figure out what is going to be like our more long-term strategy to continually growing and launching this thing, where we're not having to launch in beta groups, but just we can get sales every single day, because that is the goal. So we're going to launch it again for the second time. And then the goal is after that to make it evergreen, where someone can purchase at any time. So again, full transparency, I want to show you all the numbers, everything that we've been doing, at least in the beginning anyway, depending on how big the company gets. I'm not sure if we'll be able to show behind the scene figures all the time, but the goal is to anyway just stay as transparent as possible and show you what I'm doing. So I also want this to not just be me to talk about like, hey, the business is doing this, or this is a strategy, or this is how much money we made, because that's cool and it's interesting to document stuff, but I want it to be educational as well. So I want to show you like different learnings from different tests and marketing practices that we're doing. So I'm in the funnel right now for the workshop. So as you can see, I'm filming this on the 23rd. So far, and I know there's a lot of numbers on the screen, so I'll break it down for you. So we got 2 checkout pages, basically. You can see checkout page number 1 has got 27, and then checkout page number 2 has got 56 sales. So what's that? 77. That's 83 sales in total. So 83 sales, and the workshop, we basically have 2 prices. So on Friday, the early bird pricing expired, which was $37, and then it went up to $47. which it will be up until Tuesday when the workshop is happening. So I'm filming this on a Sunday. We've got a couple of days left. We've been promoting for about 5 days. We've made 86 sales so far. And yeah, so this is basically the conversions. Now we've got 2 checkout pages because we're doing basically 2 split tests on the sales page. So this is like the main split test that we're doing so far, which is the control versus the variation. Now these 2 sales pages are identical. The only difference is that the control has CTAs everywhere. So like CTA above the fold, CTA throughout the sales page, and also has like a sticky deadline timer. Initially, the timer said early bird pricing expires in, and then there was the timer, and then now it has registration ends in because we're closing the registration on Monday at midnight. Now, the variation didn't have that. The first CTA on the variation was probably like 2/3 of the sales, like 2/3 of the way down the sales page. So they were like the 2 tests. Now, my theory is that the variation should win. And I feel like a lot of marketers will agree with me where it's like, yes, if you put the CTAs too high up and they click through to the checkout page and they see the price, they're just going to exit off. You need to indoctrinate them. You need to get them to read the sales page before you give them the option to, click the CTA button to go to the checkout page. Now, the reason why I wanted to do this test, I just wanted to reconfirm it for myself, number one. But number two, because this isn't paid ads, so it's not like a cold traffic. It's not like super hot buyers, but like it's warm traffic, right? It's people from social media and it's people from an email list. So it's not like going totally cold. So my theory was, well, if they've already got a relationship with us, then maybe they don't need to read the full sales page. Maybe some of them are just ready to buy. So therefore, we'll put like the CTAs above the fold anyway. That was the theory. I just wanted to reconfirm the test. Now, I actually stopped the split test on Friday. So you can see the control has 400 visitors. The variation has 800. Why? Because I stopped the test and the variation won. So since Saturday morning, I think, I can't remember if it was Friday night or Saturday morning, I can't remember. The variation has been like 100%. So like we've driven all the traffic to the variation. So if we look at the numbers from, let's just go to Friday because I don't know exactly when I stopped it. If we apply the filter. Now you can see, so this is up until Friday. You can see that control had 400 views, variation 479. So there's kind of similar basically. And I know ClickFunnels isn't 100% accurate, but this is just the ease of showing the numbers. You can see here that the checkout page 1 had 26 sales, checkout page 2 had 35 sales. So what's that, like a 30+% increase? A significant difference anyway for me to basically decide that, yeah, I actually want to basically put all of the traffic through the variation. So that was the first learning, is to, always have the CTAs located lower down the page, even if it's to like a warm audience. Now, you can see also on the checkout pages, we've got 2 tests running as well, because, I like to do split tests. So the 2 tests on the 2 checkout pages are identical. So these 2 control pages are identical and the 2 variations are identical. Now, it was a similar test. The only difference between the control and the variation was that the variation had a timer at the top that said, again, initially it said early bird pricing expires in, and it had a timer. And then the variation didn't. Sorry, the variation did, the control didn't. And then now it says registration ends in. And that was a test there to see, does that scarcity reduce sales or increase sales? And you can see here that there's a very clear winner. Again, the one with the variation had less sales on both sides. So the checkout page that had the timer and the scarcity was converting less. You can see in a lot of cases it was significantly different. On this checkout page, 5% to 12%. This checkout page, 34% to 50%. So quite significant differences. And like a 50% checkout page is pretty good. And also to note here as well is that you can see the differences in the checkout page conversion. So like overall for checkout page 1, 9%. Overall for checkout page 2, 42%. Why? Well, obviously because checkout page 1 that was just getting people who were clicking the buttons above the fold, going straight to the checkout page, then they were bouncing. Checkout page 2 was obviously people to get to the CTA, people were having to read the full page. So it makes sense that the checkout page was obviously going to convert higher, but to go from 9% to 42%, I think that's a pretty significant difference, and it's good to see those numbers. But yeah, 42% checkout page conversion is pretty crazy, actually. It's super high. And I know we're dealing with limited numbers. It's not as if like 1 million people have gone through this funnel, but obviously we can only work with the data that we've got. Anyway, I was pretty shocked at the checkout page results, right? Because 5 to 12% is a big difference. 34 to 50% is a big difference. Considering only it's just the timer, right? It's not as if there's like a crazy difference. It's just that there's a bit of scarcity. So I actually like looked at the pages to understand like why is there such a big difference. And what I figured out is that we actually made a slight mistake on our checkout page. So on desktop it was fine, but when you move to mobile, obviously like all the elements stack on top of each other because it's obviously a thinner, right? So like on desktop, there was basically the checkout information. And then on the right-hand side, there was a timer. There was like an image of the product. And then like, this is what you're going to get, right? Just regular checkout stuff. It wasn't like the most incredible checkout page ever. It was just checkout info, product image, timer, what you're going to get, money back guarantee, all that sort of stuff, the usual stuff. But when you put it onto mobile, what we didn't do is order the items correctly. So when you went onto mobile, the first thing that you saw was the big product image, then you had the timer, and then below that, there was the checkout info. Now, I don't know if that's making a huge difference. Maybe it's the timer, but the fact that on the second, the mobile, the checkout info was pushed down, like kind of below the fold, maybe that was like decreasing conversions. We should have had that product image below the checkout info. We should have had the timer, checkout info, product image, then the rest of the info, but the image was at the top. So maybe that was reducing the conversions. We have changed that now. So we should be able to see for the rest of the launch anyway, to see how that affects it. So if we go back to the full numbers, so you can see it here. Okay, so far then, that's kind of like what our learning is obviously the sales page, don't use like loads of CTAs, have it lower down the page. And then you can kind of see that it's evened up a tiny little bit here. So it's like less skewed. So maybe that product image on the mobile view was making the difference, but we're going to continue to run this test until the end. Now, if we look at like the numbers, so we've made 80, 70, 80, 83 sales. And we've had like 1,200 divided by 1,261 times by 100. So the sales page is converting at 6.5%. For like a $40 to $50 product, that's pretty good. I mean, our main issue, really, like the numbers all look good. Like the sales page conversion is good. The checkout conversion is pretty good as well. So the only real issue here is just traffic. So that's like the main thing that I'm looking at right now is over the next 48 hours, how can we drive more traffic from social media and email campaigns? Because everything else looks pretty solid. All of the numbers look solid. Again, I know we don't have like 1 million people go through this funnel, but we've had over 1,000 people obviously go to the sales page. That is a more than significant number to make some decisions out of. But again, if we can keep the funnel converting at 6.5% and we can just drive more traffic to it, then I feel like this could be a really profitable way for us to grow this, because obviously out of the 86 people, or hopefully it's going to be over 100 people by Tuesday, hopefully a good percentage of those people will actually choose to upgrade as well. But we'll only be able to see obviously after the fact, after we do the workshop, after we do the webinar. I can basically like just report back and just tell you what the conversion numbers were and what would potentially be the most profitable way. Further down the line as well, I'm sure we'll add like order bumps, one-time offers. Like we just wanted to launch it as it is with the workshop. So there's no upsell as soon as you purchase. There's no one-time offer. There's no order bump. So obviously the cart value is just either the $37 that they paid or the $47 that they paid after the early bird pricing finishes. So we can obviously increase the cart value significantly by doing those things, and then obviously upselling them onto the group coaching program afterwards. That will obviously make a big difference as well to the overall lifetime value. But yeah, right now, cost, I don't know how accurate this earnings per click is. I don't really look at it too much, but $1.48 isn't too bad. But yeah, just looking at the conversions on the sales page, 6.5% is pretty strong. And yeah, I think that's pretty much everything that I wanted to cover. Just what the plan is moving forward for the relaunch, the split test that we're doing, the learnings that we've got from it. And then, yeah, I should be able to update you on the next video on the final sales for the workshop. And when I film the next video, we'll probably be in the middle of the promotion that is upselling people onto the group coaching program. So I'll give you a bit of insight into how that goes.